Hi. This is going to be a very emotional and personal episode. And to start us off with what it is. So, um, it's been about a day since pretty much the entire world found out that Liam Payne passed away. And I'm not going to get into the details of his passing because I'm sure that pretty much everyone knows what is happening. It is a very devastating time for his family and friends and the boys. The boys being Louis, Niall, Harry, and Zayn. I think it sucks that because of the world that we live in right now and social media, there's this pressure that is felt upon celebrities or important figures to make a statement when something big or traumatic happens in their lives. The last one I remember of this was the Friends cast when Matthew Perry passed away. It wasn't the norm back in the day to do this, to be honest with you. At least I don't remember it being that way. So for the boys to probably feel like they have to say something because otherwise they're going to get a lot of hate or a lot of rude comments, which should be something that we learn to be a little bit more kind. It feels like they shouldn't feel like they have to do that, because they're going through a lot of emotions and they are probably going through a lot of people already reaching out to them and making sure that they're okay. And there's probably a lot going on in their minds at the moment. And the last thing that they're thinking about is making a public statement, even though they have all made public statements. And reading that just made me cry even more. This episode is going to be like a letter to everyone out there who struggles with mental illness. And this is coming from someone that struggles with mental illness. There's no easy way to grieve someone, and there's no perfect way, and there's no handbook that walks us through this, When I woke up this morning, obviously like the last 2 days have been extremely difficult. When I first saw that, it was funny because it was an Instagram post, because I just opened up Instagram, and it was this account. It's called Up Next Designer. Some of you might know of that account. He posts a lot of design topics and stuff like that. It's like design. So he posted a picture of Liam, and I was like, oh my God, is Liam doing something in the design world? And when I took a closer look at the caption, it said something like, may you rest in peace. I can't remember the caption, to be honest with you. It was just, I then went to the comments. I'm like, oh my God, this can't be real. Like, this is a joke. So obviously I went to Google, as pretty much the whole world did when they probably saw that pop up on their phone. And it read, Liam Payne, 31, singer of the famous group One Direction, passed away in Buenos Aires. It felt unreal. Like, I was like, oh, this is a joke. Like, this is a really sick joke. But it wasn't, when I kept scrolling and seeing that it was many major news outlets reporting this. And then I went to Twitter, because that's the next step. And it was trending. And I called my sister. And I think she was expecting me to cry or have some like sort of emotion at that moment, and I didn't, because I don't think it hit me till the next day. One Direction was the first time in my life that I understood what a fandom was, where I became in love with their stories, where from X Factor to What Makes You Beautiful to the first album to the second to the third, like I was there for every step of the journey of One Direction. The YouTube videos, the stares, the edits, the Harry when he was like, all of them, they were kids, you know. I was there. And One Direction, to me, like many of us, for the first time, when I didn't think I was beautiful and someone that struggles with eating disorders and body dysmorphia, in a time where it was skinny models and this perfect image, there was One Direction. And I don't know what about them made me feel seen or special, but it felt like I fit in. For the first time in my life, I fit in. And I hadn't felt that way, ever. My family immigrated to Miami from Cuba in 2005. I had just turned 6. I was bullied because I didn't know the language. I was bullied because I didn't say things perfectly. I was an outcast because I was the tallest girl in class, always. I was chubbier than everyone else. I liked to play sports when the girls didn't. But then One Direction came around and I felt seen. I never got the chance to see One Direction in live, in person. We couldn't afford it. And honestly, I don't even think we knew how to get tickets. But I enjoyed every single video I saw on YouTube. This was like YouTube back in the days, you guys. All the grainy images, all of it, you know. Their lyrics helped me feel seen. Little things brought me to tears. And I re-listened to that song and replayed it on my worst days. My love and obsession for London was immensely multiplied by One Direction. And the first time I ever got to go to London with my sister, that was all I could think about. The big red bus that I saw them when they were doing their music videos and everything that they talked about. I went to Nando's because of Niall. Like, I had to go to Nando's because of Niall's, you know. Hello. If you know, you know. The loss of Zayn was incredibly difficult for the fandom. We never called it a breakup, we called it a hiatus. But losing Liam to the fandom wasn't another celebrity. It felt like losing a friend. And I think a lot of us are feeling a little bit guilty or sad. Because to be honest with you, it feels like the sentiment is we kind of, just lost touch with Liam. And to be honest with you, the last time he circulated in my feed was when he went to see Niall in Argentina. And people were bullying him and being quite mean. And it wasn't until his passing that I found out that there were accusations and allegations about things that happened with an ex in his life, next to his ex-fiance. And I'm not going to go into that because I don't know much about that. And it doesn't feel right to talk about an allegation or accusation that, this was a person that every person that has spoken about Liam and their interactions with them has said that he was kind. Especially in his, upcoming years. Liam was open about his mental health struggles. He was open about how, because of the size of One Direction and the madness behind all of that, most of the time when they were on tour or they were doing events or whatnot, they were secluded to a hotel room. And because of that, what was in a hotel room, a mini bar, and he developed an addiction. He was open about getting help. He was open about his struggles. He was open about the way that he understood and knew that he was the problem sometimes. His last single, Teardrops, which, to be transparent with you, I hadn't heard till he passed away. He talked about that. Now, there's a lot of stories coming out like he was dropped from his record label days before he passed away. Liam, I've now, things have popped up on the feed. Went to almost all of the guys' concerts. Louis, Harry, Niall. And like someone commented, he most likely would have gone to Zayn's. I think Liam, from personal experience, was probably a little very lost and lonely. And the mind is a very dark place to be when you get to that point. And the thing is that us who struggle with mental illness, you do try and reach out to people. But sometimes you're not heard or seen. Because while you do want to get help, your mind also makes you believe that you don't deserve that help and that no one really cares. And that you're really alone. Even if you're not. Even if you were to be blunt with someone close to you that you love, that you trust. It is very difficult to take that step, to be blunt. And there is a moment where you kind of lose everything. You lose yourself. It just becomes really dark. Some of us are lucky. And we have someone that pulls us out before it's too late. For me, that was my sister. Sometimes some of us aren't as lucky. And the thing is that we think we have time, especially if we're young. We think there'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll reach out to him. Tomorrow I'll contact him. Like, I've just been so busy. I'll make plans. I'll make dinner plans a couple weeks from now. But tomorrow might not come. And the thing is that the people that are hurting the most are the ones that are probably trying to make others feel the most seen, the most heard, the most appreciated, the most loved. Because they know how it feels to not be any of those things. And they don't want anyone to feel that way. And just because they're feeling that way doesn't mean that they can't help others not. Sometimes that's the only thing that brings us joy. And the thing about people who struggle with mental illness is we become really good at playing a character, a facade. We've perfected this character and this facade for many years, to the point where sometimes we even believe that facade ourselves. But then you're alone a little bit too long. Certain voices get a little bit too loud. And it becomes a little bit too much. It's easy to say if people wanted to, they would. If they wanted to get help, they would. If they wanted to change, they would. But sometimes you really do want help. And you really do want to change. And you really do want to be genuinely happy. But it's so hard. In your mind, it's so hard to imagine that that is possible. Especially when you constantly have a voice that's telling you that it's not. So it's not about want. The want is there. It's about having the strength to get up every single day and fight yourself. Fight your mind. Fight those thoughts. That you are worth it. That you are truly loved. That you do deserve to be here. That you're not a burden. And you get tired. And it gets lonely and dark and cold. And sometimes you get sick of your own damn self. Because it's the same story all over again. Especially when you thought that you had gotten through it. Through another episode. Through another bad months or year or weeks.
you thought this time would be different. And then it hits you all over again. So it's not about want. It's about having the strength, the willpower to do it all over again for what feels like the 100th time. And sometimes that 101 time, you might just be a little bit too tired. And that other part of you that you've fought for so long gets you at that moment of weakness. Some of us lose. If you know someone in your life that struggles with mental illness, while sometimes we might not be the easiest of people to deal with, or the nicest, I want you to know that sometimes it's not us. Sometimes it's that voice, the dark one, that is trying to push everyone away so we're lonely enough and vulnerable enough. And you say, well, fuck, I've tried to help them so many times, I'm freaking tired. And I'm not saying that this falls on anyone, because it doesn't. It really doesn't. But I'm just saying to be a little bit more compassionate as humans to everyone around us. And I know this is hard because I'm guilty of it. But none of us know what anyone is going through. It's sometimes you just need someone to smile at you or say your outfit looks good. Or a friend to reach out. Sometimes that buys us a little bit more time. It strengthens us a little bit more. When I think about Liam or other people that have passed away because of this disease. It's harder for me, and I feel like for other people who struggle with that disease, because we understand in a very personal and deep way exactly where your mind is at that moment. And it's not a great place to be. And some people might say, well, how could he leave his family and his child? He wasn't. He wasn't a son, a brother, or a dad at that moment. He was a little boy, a little kid. He was hurting. And lost. And tired. So tired. Sometimes you just want the voices to go away for a little bit. So, to anyone struggling, I promise you, you're not alone. I'm sorry for the voices in your head. I know they're mean. I know it's hard. And I know you're tired. But I promise you, you are loved. Someone loves you. Someone's gonna mourn you forever. Even though time might pass, they will always cry. When they think about you a little too much. I have personally called hotline numbers. I have reached out. In the lowest of my moments, the person who helped me was my sister. I think she's the only one that could have brought me out of that place, because she gave me that little bit of strength I needed. And I think God always brings me back. to that moment when she made me feel like I was special. I always tell my sister that I can't imagine a world where she's not my sister or where she's not here with me. I joke with her that I have to go first. But I never felt that someone felt that towards me. Until I told her what was going on in my head, in my plan. My sister doesn't get angry very often. I can count on one hand how angry she's gotten. Or sad or cries a lot. But in that moment, both of those things happened. And I saw that just like I can't imagine a world without her in it, she also can't imagine a world without me in it. And I believed it. And every time it gets a little too hard, a little too dark, that's the image I think of. And I actually wrote her a letter. Because tomorrow is not promised. And even though we're young, time is not guaranteed. And I want her to know that I care about her. And that I love her and I appreciate her. Even when there are voices in my head that get a little too loud, which makes me a little mean. So this episode is for all of us who fight silent battles and have to work extra harder to get up in the morning. This is also to those of us that fight for specific people in our lives. Thank you for keeping us alive, even though you might not know the extent of that. This episode is specifically for the people that just got a little too tired. They just needed a little extra time to sleep. I know. That you got your sleep. And I know that you are helping us from wherever you are. You're our special little angels. And to the families of those angels, thank you bringing them to us. And I'm sorry that we got a little bit too tired and that we needed a little bit more time to sleep. This was not planned or scripted. I'm sorry for the extra emotion. I just felt in my heart that I needed this. And Liam, you just became the angel of a lot of people. Thank you for leaving us with songs that we can listen to when the day is a little bit too hard. You'll always be with us. And we'll see you soon. Because this is a hiatus, not a break.